They used to call me Salomon. That's a name given to me, you know.
So, can you please introduce yourself?
My name is Saul in English, Gordon, Gordon. Uh,
Okay, and where were you born?
I was born in Cuba, in a small town in like central Cuba named Placetas, which is a province of Las Villas.
Can you share a bit about your background, like how you were raised?
I was raised Jewish. My mother and my father were not religious, but they believed in God naturally. But they always spoke among themselves in Yiddish. But if they didn't want me to understand, they spoke Polish.
So, when you think of your childhood there, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Well, I was very active in Zionist causes. And about 10 years until I left Cuba.
And what was your neighborhood like?
The neighborhood was, they call it Old Havana, means it's old, you could see even in some instances when in that area, walls against the pirates, because the pirates used to attack a lot of Cuba. The area is very poor, and was a lot of prostitution houses. And but basically the people in that area we had some Jews living there too.
Oh, really?
So it was very nice. I had a lot of friends.
Was there a shul?
The Orthodox shul was about walking distance, about 15-20 minutes.
Right.
That's the only shul Orthodox.
Right.
Then we used to have a conservative synagogue, but that was in different areas called Vedado, the Vedado region, which is a very wealthy community near the beaches. Then the American has their own synagogue, and most of them were Americans going to synagogue. But where I was for mitzvah was in the Orthodox temple in Havana.
Right. And why did you leave the country?
I left the country, number one, because I wanted to better myself. Number two, the revolution with Mr. Castro didn't allow too much movement, and he says what he's going to do, and people didn't believe it, but he done it. And it was more or less on the left communist side, so that's why we left.
Do you remember the year and how old you were?
Oh yeah, I left in February 4th, 1960, and I got into the army by February 2nd, 1961.
So you served in the army in America, or
In the United States, as a U.S. Army.
Why is this artifact important to represent
This
you?
artifact is important because number one
Can you
is
show
my sister and I. My sister, I think, she was about 12 years old, and I was about maybe 3 years younger, 9 years old.
And does it remind you of a smell?
The smell in Cuba was a lot of good smell, nothing
A bunch
bad.
of foods.
Food there, the sugar cane. They used to make a juice out of sugar cane called guarapo. And guarapo is strictly sugar cane. And people used to put a little lemon to make it a little sour because all the others are very sweet. But that's what it is, and the sugar, we eat a lot of sugar.
And how does this artifact that you chose make you feel?
I feel like a lot of years went by. I miss my sister, and we were very close, And we went to the same school. In school, we learned 3 languages at the same time. It was Yiddish, Spanish, and English. So that's why the reason we knew a little bit about English at the time.
And does this picture remind you of a specific sound when you see it?
Well, the specific sound in Cuba is the Cuban music is what they call Afro-Cuban. And it has a little rhythm, African, but based on Cuba. And it's very nice. I mean, people don't like it as a song, but it has meaning, a lot of meaning.
Right, right. And what language does this picture remind you of?
Spanish. My sister and I spoke Spanish. My parents naturally spoke with a accent, Polish accent, but they spoke Spanish. Again, when it came for them to speak, they spoke Polish when they didn't want to understand what I was saying.
Right.
But otherwise, I spoke Yiddish, and we spoke Yiddish too. I was fluent in Yiddish.
But was Spanish your first language?
First language, Spanish, yes.
Right.
We lived in Cuba, Spanish is the language, yeah.
Right. So, growing up, did your parents start by speaking to you in Spanish, or
Growing up, we spoke Spanish.
with your parents?
At the time we spoke Yiddish was when I went to school. Naturally, you want to go learn more, so we spoke Yiddish. And we had we grew up with three languages.
Right. When you were younger, what are some of the most notable changes you've noticed in your community over the years?
The community, basically everything stayed the same. The biggest problem was the government. They keep giving what they call coup d'état. They changed government, and this was going on for years. In 1933 was a coup d'état. I wasn't born then, but I understand he was anti-Semitic, the president of Cuba at that time. But he was somebody else gave him a coup d'état, Batista, and Batista was more friendly to the Jews then.
So it was hard growing up.
It was very hard growing up, yes. Especially, we were not rich people, and I started working when I was 13, so we had to help the family working.
So where was this picture taken?
This was taken in Havana.
At your home?
No. This is in a studio of a photographer.
Oh, wow.
And we went there, and they took a picture.
Wow, okay. So is there anything in your life now, like advice or even something physical, that you still use or carry with you as a result of growing up in Cuba?
Well, I cannot forget where he came from. I'm Cuban, you know. I don't deny it. And we had some friends. Some friends passed away. Personally, friends of mine. And a lot of my friends also went to Israel, to a kibbutz, living in a kibbutz. And those days, I don't know today, the kibbutz were more on the left side, leftists. Not communists, but leftists.
And how much of the customs you grew up with apply to who you are today?
Well, my customs was to respect people, and including when you walk with a woman, with a girlfriend, with a wife, you always help her going down the steps, open the car. Yeah.
And was it difficult to be Jewish when...
I never found anti-Semitism in Cuba. Mostly people were nice. The church, certain time of certain holidays from the church, they used to say that the Jews killed Christ. That's how but in general, I never found any problem.
So you were able to be open about the religion?
Oh yeah, they know I was Jewish. Number one, I was very white and blonde. So the Cuban people, they're not black. They just either mulatto. You know what mulatto means? It's a mix of black and white. The people get married. But it's a lot of white people. They're descended from Spaniards, and so it was a mix. It was very nice.
Were a lot of people at the time that you lived there immigrants from a different country?
Yes. Havana was a little European city. Means that there were French and Polish and Russian and Austrian, Germans. You know, there were everything there.
So during the time that this picture was taken, you were in school?
Yes, I was in the Yiddish school. The Yiddish school at that time is called Sholem Aleichem Kinderschule.
So they had a private school there?
Yes.
Okay.
For Jews. And we used to go to the school until the 6th grade.
Okay.
Then you have to go to the different, to advance, like high school. High school.
So did you go to high school?
Not really. We were very poor, and I had to help the family, and I had to give my, whatever I got, I give to my parents to support them, and it's the only thing to do. Same thing with my sister.
So you started working from a young age?
From about 13.
Wow.
Okay.
Do you remember your first job?